welcome back to the Joyful Soul Creates. Charlotte here, and today I'm going to be showing how to make a very simple shaker card with limited supplies. Recently I shared a video in which I talked all about shaker cards, including different materials and fillings and so on that you can use, and I'll link to that in the top right hand corner. And then in this video I'm going to show how to actually put the shaker card together and a few tips and tricks that you might find useful in that. So to start with, I'm going to make my frame. I have a panel of card cut just smaller than my card base, and I'm using my paper trimmer to cut out the inside of that so that I can create a frame. If you don't have a paper trimmer, you can use a craft knife and a ruler, or even if you're very careful, you could use scissors. And if you have more supplies, of course, you could use dies or similar. And again, I talked about this in my other video, so be sure to check that out if you'd like more information on that. And I will keep the inner portion from this frame for using for another project at another time. So I just need the frame piece and my card base for this. Once I have that frame ready, I'm going to turn it over and I'm going to add the window material. For this particular card, I decided to use acetate as my window material, and I have heat embossable acetate. So I will be off camera in a little while, I'll be adding a heat emboss sentiment to this, but if your window material is not heat embossable, you can just add your sentiment if you're adding one directly onto the frame. I'll put double-sided tape all around the back of my window frame on all four sides, and that's how I'm going to attach my acetate. And then my acetate piece was actually a bit bigger than I needed, so I did use some scissors to trim away the excess piece from that. And again, I will keep this excess piece to use on a future project. It's not really big enough to use for another shaker window, but snippets of acetate can come in useful for other projects. Before moving on to finishing assembling my shaker, I'm actually going to add some extra detail to my background. You can skip this step if you want to keep it really simple design, depending what you have available to you. But off screen, I'm going to add a ink blended background that coordinates with the sequins I have chosen. And I'm also going to add some stamped and fussy cut images just to create a very simple scene. Depending what you have available to you, you could create a watercoloured background, you could use pattern papers or stickers to build your background, or even just leave it completely plain and just let the sequins or other shaker filler be the star of your shaker. It really depends what you have available for you. So now I'm going to start assembling the shaker, and I'm using foam tape to create the walls of my shaker well, and I will double up the foam tape. Depending on the thickness of your foam tape and the size of the filling you're using for your shaker, you won't necessarily need to double it up, but generally speaking it is a good idea to do so because it gives your sequins or whatever else you may be using more space to move around. If you're using something like a glitter, then obviously that's much finer and doesn't necessarily need as much space, so you could work with just a single layer. And also when it comes to a glitter, a single layer is a good idea anyway, because then there's less seams for the glitter to seep into and potentially start leaking. And I will, as I'm putting my foam tape around the window, I will make sure it's all nicely buttered up together so that there are no gaps anywhere, so that my filling will not be able to escape at all. Again, this is more important if you're using a fine filling like glitter or sand or something like that. With sequins like I'm using, it won't matter too much if there are some small gaps, but it's still a good habit being to not leave any gaps there at all. Before assembling my shaker, I'm going to go across my card with my anti-static powder tool and remove any static or stickiness from if any glue has seeped out from under my images, for example, and that will help my sequins to shake better and not get stuck anywhere. I'll do the same on the inside of my shaker frame. I'll run it around the edge of the foam tape to remove any stickiness that might be on the edge of that foam. And I'll also go across the back of my window as well, just to remove any static cling from that. And that way the shaker should move nicely. I have a selection of blue sequins. This is the Craftin Divas Mermaid Lagoon sequin mix, and I'm just going to put those directly onto my card base. I'll open up the card base because that way it lies a bit flatter, and sprinkle on the amount of sequins that I think I will need. If you haven't added a background, you might want to use more sequins than if you have added a background. It really depends the kind of look you're going for. I decided I didn't want to have too many because I want those background images to show up as well. So once I'm happy with the amount of sequins there, I will remove the backing from my foam tape, flip the frame over and carefully position it into place on my card base. And the best way to get this lined up is if you make sure that 3 of your sides are in the right place, then the 4th one will by default be in the right place. So pay attention to those ones and the rest should work itself out. And then make sure you press it down firmly so that there's no space for any of your shaker filling to get underneath that tape. And of course, when you're making a shaker card, you always have to give it an experimental shake to make sure it works properly. That's the most fun of shaker cards, is shaking them up. So that completes my simple shaker card, and here's another look at how it works. I hope you enjoyed this video and that you found it useful. As I said, there's a lot of other information on building shaker cards in my other videos, so if you'd like more information on that, please do go and check that one out. If you enjoyed this video, you can press the like button down below to let me know, and if you didn't, then feel free to press the dislike button. Let me know in the comments if you've ever made a shaker card and what your favourite filling is to put in shaker cards. I most often use sequins in my shaker cards when I make them, but using other things can be really fun as well. All the products, as always, are linked in the description box down below if you'd like to get any of them, and they may be affiliate links, so thank you if you choose to shop with them for your support. If you haven't yet subscribed to my channel, you can subscribe by pressing my logo that's on screen now, and there are also a couple of other videos showing if you'd like to see more from me straight away. Otherwise, I'll thank you very much for watching, and I will see you again in the next video. Bye!